and yet another. Hey folks, welcome back to Geek Smart. Here I have another video install on another smart switch. This is Oidum's smart switch. This is just a standard switch, not a dimmer switch. It is Amazon Alexa and Google Assistant capable. I'm going to be doing a single pole installation because this is not a three-way switch. Single pole meaning you have a light switch that controls one light or maybe multiple lights in the room, but there's no two locations for the switch. Before we actually get started, I'm going to bring you in here and actually show you what's in the box, show you all the stuff that comes with it, and then we'll head over to the breaker and head over to the switch. Now, to do the install, you'll probably want to have some tools. Phillips flathead screwdriver. I like to have a needle nose pliers, especially one that can actually cut wires, because you may have to straighten some wires and you may have to cut some wires. And then also, circuit tester. Now, this will tell me whether or not there is any kind of live circuit there. So even though if we kill the power at the breaker, it's always a good second best guess just to make sure that we're good. So I like to have that with me as well. So let's bring the video in and we'll open the box. Okay, so we slide it out maybe. There we go. Switch it open. So we have here the actual switch itself. Obviously you can see it actually has, how does this one attach? Okay, so it has clips essentially that attaches the outside port. You can actually see the clips here. Clip onto that outside part there. Let's see if I can loosen it up without breaking it. There we go. So a little bit more difficult, I think, to remove than some of them, but it should look good in the end. This one actually has 4 wires. It does say right on the box that or in the instructions that a neutral line is required. So we do have line, load, ground, and neutral. All 4 wires are going to be required for this installation. I'm going to take this sticker off the... This is an electrical shock hazard. Imagine that. Okay, well, let's just stick that in the box here. And then they do provide, looks like some wire nuts, the 2 screws that actually attach this to the box, and then a set of instructions, basically telling you which one's which. Now, what I found in the past as well is difference between the line and the load. Some boxes I have been into that are pretty easy to determine which one's the live wire, which one's the load wire. Other boxes I've been into, you couldn't tell based on anything in there. So, on a previous installation, I did accidentally switch them. The switch just didn't work. And then if you actually go back and switch them back, you should be good to go. But you shouldn't fry anything, to be honest, if you accidentally switch the live and the load. That's what I found, at least in the past. But in this case, the load wire is going to be the red one. The black one is going to be the live wire. And that's what it typically should be as well. So, yeah. So let's head over to the breaker box. Let's kill the power to it. And we'll head over to the switch. So for those of you that have already done one of these before, switch to breaker, or watched some of my other videos, all you have to do is find the actual breaker that goes to your room. Typically, you'll have a room lineup somewhere on the side here to tell you exactly what's what. Now, my room, I know mine is number 23 here. Odd numbers are on the right or left, even numbers are on the right, and so they skip by 2. 21, 23, off she goes. Okay, so I like to have a flashlight. I actually use a headlamp, but we're just going to go ahead and take off the cover first. Taking off the cover is fairly safe. You're not going to actually touch anything, or you shouldn't actually touch anything by the cover itself that'll harm you. But then it'll get you a little bit closer to the stuff there. Let me set this off to the side. This is where, if you have a tester, it never hurts just to double check, to make sure that nothing is live that you're going to touch in the box has anything that's going to zap you. I'm going to switch over to my Phillips screwdriver on this one. You can do this all with a flathead too if you really want to. Just doesn't tend to go as fast, to be honest. I'm going to fast forward through taking this out. All I'm going to do is take the screws out and then go from there. Now if you see here on the end, on the end of these screws, there is usually a piece of paper or a piece of plastic or something that just keeps the screw from falling out. I like to push those back so the screws don't fall out, so that stays in there. But now we're in the box. We have, this should be my live wire, my load wire, and then my ground wire, and then my neutral wires are actually wire nutted back in the box. We're going to need access to all these guys, so I'm going to go ahead, and if you really want to, you could test these again just to make sure that, especially on the live wire, that you're not getting anything coming out. But that said, we're going to undo this. I'm just going to remove all 3 of these screws real quick, and then I'm going to fast forward through that. Alright, so now in this case, I do have one wire that does have a nice little bend on it. So I'm going to straighten that out with my handy dandy pliers. Get that straight so I can actually wire nut the next one to it. Double check everything in here so we should be good. Make sure I keep those where I want them. Alright. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and take the wire nut off on that. And we're going to want to get everything tied in together. And so I still know that this one's my live, this one's my load. At least that's what I'm pretty certain of. Unfortunately, all mine come in the same area, so it's not the easiest way to tell. But I'm pretty sure that's what that is. So let me grab the actual switch. Okay, so this is how we're going to do it. I'm just going to get this one tied apart real quick. Now you can actually spur these around a little bit, but what we really want is to make sure that the wire nuts grab. So as you put everything on here, these are really tight wire nuts actually. Alright, so, and in that case, I'm not liking this at all, to be honest, because it's almost like there's too much end sticking out here yet. Once you put the wire nut on, if you can actually still see copper, that's usually not a good thing. So I might actually have to shorten these up a hair on a couple of these. So if that's the case, I have my pliers here that I can cut a little bit shorter. Cutting a little bit shorter just make sure that none of the wires ever connect, especially because these are going to be wire nutted, so they're going to be pushed back into the box itself. And so if I push them back into the box, I got to make sure that nothing else actually touches each other. It's a big thing. It's a very important item as well. So I'm going to do that to all these, and I'm going to fast forward through a lot of this. The red will be your load wire. The white will go to your whites, your neutrals, and the green will go to ground. So once I get these shortened up a little bit, I'll be back after I fast forward through all this section. On the neutral wire, I'm actually going to use my existing nut because it's a much larger wire nut, so I don't have to worry about not having enough space. These orange ones that they give you are okay for just 2 wires connecting together, but if you have multiple wires connecting, they're just not big enough. No doubt about that. Okay, so now that we have everything wired on it, it's good to check the connections, make sure that they're actually solid, that wires aren't going to accidentally pull out, especially as you're pushing everything back. Seems like a pretty good connection. So I'm going to start pushing some of these wires back in here. Now, whenever you're dealing with a box, and mine is a very tight box, to be honest, with all the wires that are in here, you may actually run into situations where you have even more wires than what I have. With all these wire nuts, it adds a lot of bulk. And what happens is with these smart boxes or smart switches, they're so bulky that they tend to be really hard to go back into place. So there's a lot of sometimes messing around with these wires to get everything lined up to the fact that they're not in your way. And so I'm going to take my time, to be honest, on this one, because this one's a little bit harder than the last couple I've done because of having all the extra wire and this is a very, very thick switch, to be honest, especially for the size of box that I have. My box is very small, and my box isn't doing me any benefits because it's actually crooked in the wall. Yeah, I have a lot of good things to say about the person that actually did my wiring in my house. But it's never going to be an easy situation when you have things that are so tight. I also have, looks like I have a screw that's actually in the top of my box that's going to run me into some issues. So I'm going to see if I can't get that loosened up. I'll be back in a minute. So the screw I have on, it's actually on top of my box. I was able to actually grab onto the screw and just loosen it up to the point where it's not in the way anymore. And it's not doing anything actually. I don't know why they put it there, but I should be good now. Get that out of the way. I do get it back there fairly tight. So now I'm going to go ahead and put these two screws in it that came with it as well. And these are loose, they were in the packaging. And all we got to do is line those up with the actual box itself. And there we are. Now you could, I mean, obviously, even if you lost these, you could actually, these screws are basically the same that come with the other switches as well, for the most part. Now, as I've said in the past, you don't want to use the tightening of the screws to actually push the wires back in there. You want to actually make sure it goes almost flush before you start putting the screws in, because if you use these screws, this is just plastic. You will crack this if you just use that to actually do it. Now, I just use it to snug it up, but it was already able to go in basically all the way. So we should be good now, and now we can put our cover on. And in this case, this cover snaps into place. So and mine's going to be a little bit trickier because of how it's at a little bit of an angle, to be honest. Which is never fun. Because of that angle. And that is it. I figured it was going to snap. Oh, that's definitely not in place yet. Alright. Wonder if I pushed a little bit too much pressure up here? No? Not really. I think it's just because of my angle, because I'm hitting the right side of mine way before the left side. So just loosen it up a little bit. I'm not a fan of this. Not really at all, because this is kind of a pain in the butt to get it to snap on. Let me see what I can do to figure this out. Oh, well, it's grabbing on the one side. I don't like the cover. I really don't like the cover. And the problem is, I don't know if you could actually use. Let's see if we can actually use the stock cover. So the problem with this is that I cannot use the cover that came with it. So the cover that would actually make it match all of my other switches, I cannot use. I have to use the cover that comes with it. And I'm really just not a fan of this cover. It's just, they should have made it so you can actually screw it into place rather than relying on friction and clip attachment. I don't like that. It's one thing I don't like. But let me go flick on the circuit breaker and I'll be right back. So I flicked on the breaker. We're just getting a red light here. I'm assuming that's boot up. If I click the light switch, it does click the light on. Let's see what those lights actually mean. Maybe look in the manual. So I would assume that the blinking lights is probably just means it's in pairing mode. So we're going to actually open up the app and go from there. Alright, so all we have to go to the app store and just search. I just searched OITTM, O-I-T-T-M, and there's the OITTM Smart app. I just installed it, so let's go ahead and open up the app itself. Sure, send me notifications. Now we're going to actually have to register this. So you can, if you have one of these already, you can just log in. Otherwise, we're going to hit register. Looks like mobile, phone number, or email. So I'm going to go ahead and enter I'm going to do my email. I'll be right back. After you enter in the email, it's going to ask for a password. Let me do that real quick. You can choose to see it or not see it. If you have a hard time putting it in, hit confirm. Looks like access my location. Yeah, I'll allow that. Okay, so now we're in the app here. We're going to hit add device in the because we don't have any devices listed. We're going to try a light switch, although there's wall switch too. Try a light switch. Make sure that the item is still blinking rapidly. It's taken so long that it isn't currently, so let's head over there and actually show you how to do that real quick if it timed out and you have to get it to blink again. So we do not have the blinking light anymore. I didn't do anything, it's just not blinking. So let's push and hold. And now we're blinking red and blue and green. So blue and purple, I guess is what it is. Let's get back over. May not have that issue, but I did because I waited 2 hours working on getting this video done. Confirm indicator blank. Now we have to put in our Wi-Fi password. All right, let me do that real quick. All right, I just hit confirm, and now it's going to do the connecting, I guess, for us. So let's give it a few minutes to see if it can connect. I would assume that's a good sign because the light turned off on me. Smart light switch, great. We're going to hit done, and looks like we come into the power. Oh, great. Now we can actually do it from here. And now my phone is going to automatically adjust. So we should be able to actually probably name that as well. Kind of funky there where the top of the app is a little funky. Yep, there's a menu. Okay, so the menu, you can't see it. Not as on the left side, it's on the right side up here. So they probably should fix their app a little bit. Light switch, we're actually going to call it. So before I go into this, I just changed it to Studio Light. That way I know it's the light itself. I'm going to hit Amazon Echo, and we're going to go from there. So add device. So we have to go into the Amazon Alexa app, which, let's go over here to Alexa, the app. And sorry, she's running already. We're going to go to skills.
Then link your account and complete setup.
Just keeps talking, doesn't it? We're going to hit yours, or actually we're going to search for a skill. So OITTM, there it is right there. Smart Life, that's the Smart Life skill. Let's enable that. It's going to ask us to, looks like our email and password. So let me do that real quick. So I hit link now, and now it's asking you to authorize the use of it. Hit authorize. Okay, so now we can actually close the browser window and continue. I'm going to go ahead and actually have the Amazon Echo discover devices. So Alexa, discover devices.
Starting discovery. This will take up to 20 seconds. If you haven't already, please enable the smart home skill for your smart device from the Alexa app.
Now you can also obviously do it from right here as well, or if you even bypass that, you can do it from the smart home section. Just hit add device and it should start discovery.
I couldn't find any new smart home devices. If you have Philips,
well, there it is right there though.
The button on the bridge and rerun discovery.
Because if I go into the app here, yep. Alexa, turn off Studio Light.
Okay.
Alexa, turn on Studio Light.
Okay.
So, we're good to go with the Amazon setup. To show the setup in here as well, you can actually set it up with the Google Assistant as well, which from in here as well, we're probably going to be in that same app here. If we actually click on the left, hit home control, there it is. Under home control, we can actually hit add, and in here, we actually have to add, let's see if it's probably under smart home or smart, or I doubt it's under item. Nope. So it's going to be under that same Smart Life. And within Smart Life, we're going to set up that same item account that we already did. So exactly like before, let me do that. Hit the link button and then authorize the Google Assistant to do the same exact thing that Amazon did. So fairly simple for its setup. If you are interested in seeing my finalized findings on this specific switch, just pay attention to the description below. I will put a link to my full review that's going to be on the Tech Goose channel that I do all my reviews on. So the Geek Smart is more for the installs and tutorial type things. But just to be honest, right out of the gate, one thing that you're not going to have to wait, I hate the cover. Item, fix the cover, because having a snap-on cover does not work very well. I don't like it at all. I got it to go, I got it to stay. It doesn't seem like it's falling off at all. but I really don't like it. I prefer, even if you just have the screws available. I have another one that actually has clips on it as well that clips on a lot better than this one. So with that said, that's going to be probably part of the review when I get that done. But for that, here we are. It's good. It's going. It's running. And hopefully it helps you out if you're actually looking to install one of these or something similar. So with that said, thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned for another full review. I'll probably have more smart switches in the future, give or take. We'll see. But that said, thanks for stopping by. Catch you on a future install.